Hi guys, JP from FSI Panel. On that video, we are going to fly the RNP 16 Center in Graz, Austria. One user commented on my last YouTube video that he would like to see how to fly this approach. So I decided to go ahead and fly it on the Fenix A320 today. So I just positioned the aircraft in Graz on runway 16 Center, and actually the weather today on the 21st of September, 9 a.m. local time when I'm recording that video, the weather at the airport is very close to the actual minimum for this approach. So it's gonna be quite interesting. We might just see the runway. So let me show you in Navigraph what kind of approach we will fly, and as well the actual live weather that we'll be using. Alright, so this is the approach that we want to fly today, the RNP runway 16 Center, and as we will fly LNAV, VNAV, you can see for category C, the Airbus A320, we have a minimum of 1426 feet barrow, and that gives us a ceiling of around 309 feet. Now, if you look at the actual weather right here on the bottom left of the screen, you can see that for 6:50 Zulu local time, we have a nice visibility. That's not my concern, around 10 kilometers. We have a few clouds at 200 feet, so if we are unlucky, that few clouds might be exactly on final approach path. And we have a broken, and this is what we have to take into account legally for this kind of approach. So broken or overcast, 400 feet, and 400 feet, sorry, is just above 100 feet above our actual minimum. So that might be very tight. Temperature 17, dew point 16, so that's good. The temperature is increasing, so we should have no problem with the visibility. QNH is 1010 and becoming broken 600, so it's getting a bit better. All right, so what we will do, we will start from this initial approach fix here, Whiskey Golf 821, and in order to give us some time to do the briefing, I found a star here, which is the we can position ourselves, into LOWG. Right there, I would position the aircraft west of LOWG, 5 miles. Then we will enter the holding here. We will create a simple right turn holding 1 minute at LOWG. And once the briefing is complete and everything is done, we will fly the approach. So from LOWG, we fly to Whiskey Golf Bravo 21, which is our initial approach fix. And from there, we will fly this beautiful RNP approach, and we hope to see the runway. So the star in fact is LOWG 1 mic, so that's what we will use with FSI Panel. All right, let's jump into the sim, just set our training weight, and then we program together the position, and we try to fly this approach. All right, here we are in the sim. The first thing to do, I will just configure the aircraft, just the weight. FSI Panel will do the rest, so I will just take 5 tons of fuel. That's good. And for the weight, I will take a nice training weight. Usually I like to take 58 tons. That's completely up to you. If you want an heavy aircraft, a light aircraft, just go ahead and do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be the same weight as the weight I'm using today. So 58 tons. Then we will of course check the landing performance before we go for the landing. And that's it. Another thing I want to do is, as I created a flight plan in Navigraph, I only created in simbrief.com a flight from Linz to Graz. That's the only thing I did, and then I choose runway 16 Center. So now I should be able to import that into the Fenix EFB, and that will help me for the chart. So tap to import from simbrief, and I should get my flight. As I told you, I just create a simple flight here, Linz to Graz, and that's all I need. And this is just to get my chart, and I have my meta again that is coming here, and what I want to have is the charts. So if we go to Navigraph now, I should be able to import my route as well, and as you can see, I'm gonna have my approach chart right there that we need to fly. So I would just put the RNP 16 Center as a star, and the arrival, we said we are going to fly the LOWG 1 mic, so that's the one. I will put it as well as a star, and now we have everything we need to program that in FSI Panel. So let's start FSI Panel and move the aircraft. All right, here we are in FSI Panel, just started. As you can see, the aircraft has been detected. The Fenix A320, we have Graz, runway 16 Center, and we have right now in live weather, low IFR, so as expected. So let's program this. We will try a star. So select star. We said we need the LOWG 1 mic, and the waypoint we are interested is LOWG. Now I need the heading. So heading 110 is perfect, and the altitude 9,000 feet at or above 9,000 feet on the chart. That's correct. So we can leave it like this. The offset 5 miles. I'm happy with that. So that means I will be 5 miles northwest of LOWG on an heading 110 at 9,000 feet. And the idea is just to join the hold. And once we are ready, fly the approach. So I will just validate this. As easy as that. I have a summary right there. And then I click on Move Aircraft, and we see each order in the simulator. So in the simulator, FSI Panel is going to set a few things. First, the altitude. And then whenever FSI Panel tells you that it is ready, as you can see right now, it will ask you to set your thrust levers to climb the tent, and from there we will start the approach. So I'm ready. I'm moving my thrust lever to climb the tent, and here we go. So as always, do not touch anything. FSI Panel will set everything. So during that phase, it's very important that you just sit on your hands and watch FSI Panel doing the job. So here we will descend to 9,000 feet. And FSI Panel will set the MCDU for us. I'm not sure if I set all the options in FSI Panel for setting the weather. We will see if it does it or not. If not, this is something you can do in the setup of FSI Panel if you want FSI Panel to set your QNH, wind, and everything as per the actual live weather. So here we are getting almost ready. So looks like I haven't put the setting. I will show you that in a minute so that you can do it if you want FSI Panel to set everything for you. It's not mandatory, but if you want to do a quick approach, then why not using this feature? Alright, so here we are about to get the control. As you can see, aircraft is ready. Hold your brake for 3 seconds. So what I will do, just create that holding that we said. Then we get rid of that window, and then I will show you what I meant about the setup in FSI Panel. So let's just program that point. So if I go in the flight plan, FSI Panel didn't set anything, as there is probably no ILS in Graz, so we just have the destination. So we are just going to fly to the waypoint LOWG. Sorry, I need to go direct LOWG, of course. Direct to LOWG. Bing. Insert. And now what we will do, the holding. So LOWG. Hold. 110. Right turn, 1 minute. Insert. We have the hold. Now I can take control of the aircraft. So I will hold the brake for 3 seconds. And I'm getting the control of the aircraft. I make sure I'm in nav, and I will reduce the speed for the holding speed. So we'll go at the green dot, the best speed for the hold. And that's it. Now we are ready to start our briefing and to prepare this approach. So we will let the aircraft enter the hold. We have the lights on, perfect. And I'm just going to show you what I meant with the FSI Panel setup. So in FSI Panel, if you go to setup and you go to not fly-by-wire, we're flying today on Fenix, you can see here, program MCDU, set zero fuel weight CG, set the QNH wind and temperature. So those are not, program MCDU is by default enabled. Set zero fuel weight CG, I think it's not. So this is to make sure if you want FSI Panel to set automatically your weight and CG based on the actual aircraft weight in the MCDU, and set QNH wind and temperature. If the airport has a valid METAR, then FSI Panel will set that in the performance page. Then you have the default value for auto brake and the landing flaps. So that's what I wanted to show you. So let's go back into the simulator. Here we are joining the hold, and we are going to prepare our approach. So this beautiful RNP runway 16 center. All right, so let's go into the MCDU first of all and insert that. All right, so let's start by programming the MCDU. So we are going to select the correct arrival. So we are going on the AirNav 16 center. The star is the LOWG 1 mic, and we are coming via the waypoint Whiskey Golf 821. All right, so this is what we expect. So if you go now into planning phase, you can see what we have inserted. So from LOWG, we will be going to 821, and then we are going to fly the whole approach, and we have the missed approach that is going right there. So we might have to clean up a little bit the flight plan. We will check that now. So insert. When you do that, always make sure you're staying in your holding pattern. So that's very important. If you change anything in your MCDU, execute OK, and now make sure you are still doing what you expect the aircraft to do. Hold at LOWG. Then we can see that after LOWG, we are going to the Whiskey Golf 821. We have the restriction. If you click on the right key, now you can see that we have an altitude constraint of 8,000 feet and no speed constraints. So if we look now into our chart for this waypoint, we can see that we have a speed constraint of 220 knots. And here I don't see a speed constraint, so I can add my constraint at 220 knots right there and insert. So that's now going to be my constraint at 821. And probably what happened here, and it's a good thing that we see it, you can see that we have 2 times 821, and this one has the constraint. So basically this is the star arrival that goes to Xibar, and we don't want to fly to Xibar. We are taking the RNP from 821. So we need to update this flight plan. So how are we going to do that? We have 2 options to do that. I can clear the waypoints there. That's one option. Or I can update from LOWG next waypoint, this one. So here I'm just using the easiest way to do it. I do it like this, as you can see. Insert. I check again because I activated that I have my holding. The aircraft is holding. And now we have the correct waypoint, which is Whiskey Golf 821. We have the speed and altitude constraint. That's correct. After that, we check that we go to run out. Run out, I can see a maximum speed of 220 knots and a constraint of 7,500 or higher. That's correct. It's right there. After run out, we go to Whiskey Golf 814. So we have it here, 814, no restrictions on the chart. Then we go to 815, 816, then we go to 817, and after 817 we are going to start our final descent. So at Whiskey Golf 817 we have, if we click on the right key, the altitude constraint, 3,300 feet, which we call the platform altitude, where you will start your final descent to your runway. And we have as well the speed constraint, maximum 160 knots. That is on the chart. So here we will have a couple of things to check. And what we will check here on the flight plan page is the rate of descent. So the angle, flight path angle. You can see here minus 3.5, so that's perfect. As per the chart, this is a 3.5 degrees. Here, the tolerance is 0.1. So if you will see minus 3.6 or minus 3.4, it will be still acceptable to fly this approach. Now, the same thing applies to the bearing. You can see that the bearing is 165, and on the chart, we can see 164. So here we have a 1 degree difference, and in that case, you can accept a 3 degrees maximum difference. Okay, so maximum 3 degrees. The chart says 164, so 167 or 161, that's the limit for you to fly this approach. After that, the good thing that we can see here is that the last waypoint is the runway 16 center. So the good thing with that is that we can leave the autopilot flying basically all the way down to the threshold. We can fly with the flight director, and at 250 feet we could disconnect, and then we should hear the triple click once we overfly the threshold. So that's nice. And after that, we're going to have our missed approach, which is in the chart. So let's brief that approach. Then I will show you, we will check the MCDU to make sure everything is correct, and we fly the approach. All right, so let's bring the approach chart and do a quick briefing. All right, so RNP runway 16 center in Graz. Then you can see that the actual MSA is based on, it's a TAA, and it's based on Runot. So as we are on that side of the airport, we are at position Runot on the north of the airport. You can see that Runot is the reference right there, and you can see your mileage, 10 miles, 25 miles. So within 25 miles in this area, 9,100. If you are within 10 miles, which is our case, then it will be 7,700 feet. So that's our MSA. We will be coming on the Whiskey Golf 821. We checked all the restrictions. Then we fly to Runot. We have checked the MCDU, and basically we will fly the approach. So if we look at the approach strip, what we can see is the final approach code 164. We checked it in the MCDU. Then 3,300 feet platform altitude checked as well. Then we have a 3.5 degrees descent. We can see that right there, and that was checked as well, down to our minimum, and the minimum will be 1426. So we are going to set up that in the MCDU in a minute. Then the airport elevation is 1120, runway elevation 1117. Should we go around, then we will set the thrust, flaps 3, wait for a positive rate, gear up, and then we climb straight ahead. When passing 2,500 feet, turn left direct to Golf Bravo Golf, continue climb to 5,000 and hold. So not too bad. And on the south of the airport, we can see that the terrain is not anymore a factor. So the go around should not be an issue. Straight ahead 2,500, left turn to Golf Bravo Golf, and we climb to 5,000 feet. All right, so let's check the aircraft now and prepare the approach. All right, here we are in the aircraft, and we are going to check the MCDU. So starting with the flight plan, we checked already everything there together. We just can check the missed approach, so 2,500 feet, and then we go to Golf Bravo Golf, and we climb to 5,000. So that's fine. That's the only thing we were missing right there. After the flight plan, we move to the radio navigation. Do we have to set anything here? We don't depend on any ground station for this kind of approach, but it's always nice to set something if you have a VOR over the station. As you can see now, the aircraft has automatically selected Graz. So if you don't want the aircraft to change it for some reason, just tune it, Graz. And if you have a course, just set the course. So here as a reference, I will set 164. Why this? Imagine we are failing, we have a problem with the MCDU on final, then at least my VOR should point in front of me with the course that will point to the runway, as the VOR is just very close to the airport. So that's of course a reference. If we lose navigability during the approach, we will not try anything, but we will go around. We have no time to play, and you cannot just assume that flying to Golf Romeo Zulu will save the day. You're not legal to do that, so unless you are visual, of course. So what we will do here is just tune it, just to make sure we have something here as a backup. We will have some DME as well, and we have to be very careful when we do that, not to do a mistake with the DME. The DME distance on the approach here is not based on that VOR, but it's the distance to the runway, and I will show you later on where you have to check that. So radio navigation is done. Now if we go to the proc page, so we've done here flight plan. We have been to radio navigation, and now we will click on proc page, and there is a couple of things to check. I'll try to find the perfect view for you. Here we go. All right, so here what we have to check, first of all, that we have GPS primary, which means the GPS is the main source for updating your MCDU. So that's what we want to see, and we want to see the accuracy that is high. Right now, the aircraft estimate that we have a precision of 0.03 nautical miles, and required navigation performance right now as we are at the end of the star, is 1 mile. It's an airnav star, so usually you will see 1 mile on an airnav star. If now you fly en route, you will see those numbers changing to 5 miles, 10 miles over oceanic, depending on the airway structures. So the MCDU will tell you what is required and what is the actual number. So this number here, should always be lower than this number, okay? So that's very important. Once we start the approach, we should see the MCDU changing that required minimum from the initial approach fix to 0.3 nautical miles. We will try to see that. Another thing you want to do here is to put your runway so we have a distance to the runway. So what we do, we type in the ICAO ident of the airport, so Lima Oscar Whiskey Golf, and then the runway, it's 16 center. And if I dial in here, I can see that I'm right now 30 miles from my touchdown point, and if I want to fly direct to the runway, 126 is the perfect heading. All right, so that's what we do. And another thing you want to check is your frame. So you press GPS, and now you want to check that within 15 minutes before or after your ATA, this is based on the actual flight plan that we have. So if we leave the hole right now, we should be touching down at 7:59, and the MCDU has computed that 15 minutes before 7:59 up to 15 minutes after 7:59, which is around 8:15 in the morning Zulu time, we have no problem with the GPS. If you have any NOTAMs telling you that satellite number 5 and number 6 has an outage, that happens sometimes. It will tell you that you have a satellite outage at the time you're arriving, again within that time frame. Then you have to deselect the satellite. So you will say, for example, 5, put it right there, and now the satellite number 5 will not be used to update your position. Very important. Good, now we have checked the prime, everything looks good. We continue and we go to the performance page. On the performance page here, we are going to, as always, set the weather and the minimums. So let's bring the weather from the system. Let's see if that works. So I will go right there, and we will go to ATC return AOC menu, and we will try to get weather request, and we want Lima Oscar Whiskey Golf. I just need the METAR, send. Of course, you should use the ATIS or even the information from the tower, where they will confirm, they will tell you what is the exact QNH. Maybe you didn't see my video about setting a wrong QNH by mistake. If you haven't seen that video, I strongly suggest you to have a look, because that's a killer, and the link is in the description below. All right, so always use the ATIS if the ATIS is available. Confirm the QNH with the tower. And here in the simulator, the ATIS is not correct all the time, so I'll just use the basically the weather from the METAR. So if I go receive message, I have my weather data, and I'm going to use that, which should be very close. As you can see now, it's improving, so we might be lucky. But again, what is good for us and very important for us is this QNH that you can see there, and cross-check it with the tower. So let's go 1010. Temperature 17. The wind, we have 120 at 3. So that's nice. Transition, we can leave it like this. We are below already. And the barrow minimum for this approach is 1426. 26. All right, barrow is set. Now what we could try to do is check the actual landing performance in the tablet to see what kind of photo break we can use. So let's do that quickly. So arrival performance and weather, we're just gonna apply the METAR. That's fine if you're flying live weather. And the aircraft config, landing weight, I think we said 58 tons. Let me confirm that quickly here. 58 was my zero fuel weight plus 4.4 of fuel, so 62.4. So by the time we land, 62.2 probably, but I will still use 62.4 for the to be on the safe side. And then what else do we have to set right there? So we will do low auto brake, that's fine. We'll try that. Idle, no reverse, manual landing, flaps full, auto throttle on, and the runway condition dry. Okay, so we are going for the runway 16 center, and we can see that with auto brake low, we are going to vacate. We have a nice tolerance, we are good, so no issue. If I will select auto brake medium, that's maybe too much. So let's go auto brake low, we know it's working, so perfect. So that's done as well. So we are basically ready to fly the approach. So auto brake low is set, everything is done. We are coming inbound from Lima Echo Oscar Bravo, and then we can fly the approach. So let's do it. We will exit the hold, so go to flight plan, exit the hold. So now the aircraft will fly from LOWG to Whiskey Golf 821, which is our initial approach fix, and we have the altitude 8,000 feet and the speed maximum 220 knots. So let's do that now. Let's have a quick look from the passenger view. Let's see what they see. On that side, not too much. Here it's beautiful. So we might have those clouds at the wrong position during our approach. So we'll see if we are lucky or not today in Austria. And what I told you before, now I have the indication here, Graz, 31 miles. I have the indication right there, distance to the runway 28 miles, so that's 1 DME, 1 distance, 2 distance, and that's 3 distance. So it's very confusing when you fly air nav approach. You have to be very careful which DME do you apply. So the chart is saying distance to runway 16 center. So basically we were gonna have to use distance to the runway right there, or that's as well the distance to the runway. So be careful on this. All right, so 8,000 feet, and we give the descent to the aircraft now. I mean manage descent. So I know that she's not gonna breach any descent constraint that we checked together, as long as I'm in descent. If I will go vertical speed, track FPA, or open descent, then I am fully responsible. So be very careful if you're not flying in manage. Good. After that, this Whiskey 821, we will continue to Ronot, maximum altitude, minimum altitude 7,500 feet. The speed is good. The next speed restriction that we will have to be careful is the 160 knots at the final approach fix, Whiskey Golf 817. So until now, with that speed, I am very happy. As you can see, roughly my distance 26 miles, and my distance to land, if I would go direct, 23 miles. So we are good speed-wise. Another thing you can do is activate the approach. If you don't do it, the aircraft will do it as well for you later on at the decel point, but I will already activate it, and that's done. I'll start, and now what I will set the platform altitude as I will descend in managed speed. So platform altitude 3,300, and again descent is armed. I have an altitude constraint, this 8,000 feet that we have here. You can see it right there. So because of that constraint, the aircraft is in altitude constraint and descent is armed. So once we pass that waypoint, the constraint is gone. Now she will descend to the next constraint, which is 7,500 feet or above. We have the right QNH 1010, and now basically we will let her fly this approach for us and check how she does it, how the Fenix is doing it. Beautiful. Let's have a look from the passenger window here. Not too much, still very cloudy, and outside we can see that we are flying over terrain with some clouds around. So we are hoping that we will not see a cloud just at the minimum for us. Alright, turning now to the next waypoint, which will be Whiskey Golf 814. And now we have a minimum altitude of 5,500 feet. As you can see here, the aircraft is not descending. She's not descending. It is not a problem at all. She will do the descent whenever she starts the descent for a constant descent. So do not worry, this is plus, plus, plus. The only altitude which is mandatory is the platform altitude, which is 3,300 feet. Now she will start descent, as you can see, in manage. So very important, manage speed, manage descent. Now I will give her the control of the speed, and she will go for the up speed, for the green dot. So we will be 160 knots at Whiskey Golf 817. So we have to plan to start reducing our speed a couple of miles before, as it takes some time to reduce from 60 knots we need to drop. So I will start right now with flaps 1. Extend a bit of speed brake. So a nice approach. So now the aircraft will basically maintain 3,300 feet if I'm not arming the approach before. So 3,300 is my platform altitude. So shortly before reaching the waypoint, we will arm approach. So let's continue the descent here. Very fast, so we'll go gear down. That will help a lot for the speed reduction. Nice. Okay, my speed limit is there for flaps 2, so that's good. So let's go flaps 2 now. And we are clear for the approach. Approach, I see final approach. That's what we want to see. Speed is go for flaps 3. And here we are at our platform altitude. You see the speed is not dropping nicely. It's a 3.5 degrees, so that's a trap. Gotta be very careful with that. So now we will check all the steps based on the distance to the runway. So let's go flaps full, and we can see now 5 miles. We should be 3,020, so that's perfect. Set missed approach altitude, 5,000 feet as we pass the platform altitude. Done. And now we can go ahead and do the landing checklist. So go around 5,000 feet set. Let's just check, sorry, my 4 miles. We should be at 2650, perfect. So go around altitude, 5,000 feet set. Cabin crew advised, ECA memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist completed. So next step we can check is at 3 miles. We should be 2,280 feet. I see the runway already, that's perfect. We are lucky. So 3 miles, 2,280 exactly on spot. And now we are going down for 2 miles. We should be 1910. 1,000 feet, we are stabilized, checklist completed. I'm getting ready to take over the control. 2 miles, 1910. Perfect. All right, now we are on the runway. I'll take autopilot off. And we continue down, flying manually for this approach. I have 3 white, so I will go down a little bit. And you see my rate of descent. As expected, we were 900 feet per minute. Now you don't want to go more than 1000 feet per minute rate of descent, otherwise that will be a sink rate, and this is what we should avoid, below 1000 feet. So if you're first officer or if you are pilot monitoring and you see the rate of descent more than 1000 feet per minute, you have to call for a sink rate. Alright, so we are visual, continue land. Now I'm on the PAPI, everything looks good. 2 and 2.
100.
100 feet.
50, 40, 30, 10, 5.
Touchdown. Reverse. And we have decel. So the calculation was good. You can see that we are running down the runway. No issue, out of reverse. I will go out of the auto brake and we will vacate the runway right there at Yankee to the right. Okay, vacating the runway to the right, Yankee. And then I will use FSI Panel to do the after landing flow. So to do that, very straightforward. Just retract your speed brakes. So I will show you that. I just vacated the runway, and what I will do, retract the speed brake, and FSI Panel will start doing the after landing flow, setting the lights. We'll start the APU for us as well, and as you can see, the APU is starting. It will set as well the transponder as required, and everything is basically done for you. Now you can just taxi your airplane. So that's it, we landed. Let's have a quick look at the landing report, see how we manage this one. So I will bring the landing report. Let's set the brake here and let's have a look at the landing report. Okay, landing report, Fenix A320, Graz. We had wind 180 at 7 knots, 7 knots headwind. So the landing distance 604 meters, not too bad, slightly left. Nice landing, nothing to worry here. We were flaps full with the auto brake low. We disconnected the autopilot at 720 feet, and we can see that the speed at threshold 143, and we were stable during the 1000 feet check, 500 feet check, and threshold check. We cross at 44 feet, so normally you should cross at 50 feet, but anything close to 50, like 40 to 60, you are at the right altitude. Otherwise, this will become amber or even red if you are too high or too low. The maximum rate of descent was at 167 feet AGL, so quite low, with 837 feet per minute. We can see that the lateral guidance was good on this approach, and this is 3 degrees, as we do not have an ILS. FSI Panel is drawing a 3 degrees descent here. And remember that our approach was 3.5 degrees. This is why we are coming down nicely stabilized, and the gap is closing to the runway where the 2 lines are matching. So basically we can say that the approach was not too bad. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed that video. That was to reply to one pilot that requested to see this kind of approach. This approach specifically, this 16 center in Graz. Please subscribe to the channel if you are not a member. That will help me a lot. And as always, stay safe. Any question, drop it down below. And I hope to see you soon again for another video. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.